Okay, I guess I am started. I was This is Doug Roberts. I'm the project manager for Worldwide Telescope under the American Astronomical Society. I've been setting this up for the first YouTube streaming live event of Worldwide Telescope. I was checking on how things were going on a slow computer that wasn't updating, so I assumed I wasn't broadcasting, but I think I actually was. So I apologize for those who were on hold, so to speak, while I was getting things ready. This is the first of a series of web tutorials that'll be broadcast on a monthly basis on different topics. The team at the American Astronomical Society has been working very hard on making the functionality that used to be only available under the Windows desktop client available on any operating system through a web-based browser, and we call it the WebGL web client. And so I'm going to walk you through how to get to it, how to use it to create tours, and we will capture these videos and make it and post it online as soon as possible, so people who weren't able to make this live event can watch it later. So if you go to the URL worldwidetelescope.org, that takes you to the Worldwide Telescope homepage. At the top, there are different tabs. Learn, which has documentation. Interact has interaction with Worldwide Telescope. And then under Interact, there's Preview WebGL web client. So if you click on that, that will take you to our new and improved web client. For those people who have used Worldwide Telescope in the past, this should look very similar to the desktop version. And for those who haven't used it before, it will maybe look new. Just to give you a little bit of sense of navigation of what the different components of the web client are, there's a background image. This is the main viewer that shows you what the data that you're looking at. On top, there's a selection of data collections by category. And you can also select tours and other aspects. What we're going to do is we're going to create a guided tour, and so a guided tour is essentially playing back some experience that you've done looking at the universe through different data sets. So the first thing is we will create the tour kind of structure, and then we'll start filling it out with going places that we think are interesting. So under guided tours, you say create new tour, and you'll be shown a interface where you can give a name. I'm going to give this name my first tour, and my description you can say as long as you want. This is my first tour created on YouTube Live. I give my name, Doug Roberts, and I'll give the Worldwide Telescope email at the aswwt@aas.org. So I can send that away. If I want to get back and edit any of those properties, I can click on Tour Properties in the upper right, and I can get and edit these back. So you are first shown a play button. Right now there's no slides to play, so this doesn't really do anything, but I can add a new slide. As I rotate my view, I see different parts of the sky. I'm going to choose a part over here, and I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some pictures of Eta Carina. And so first I'll look at the nebula itself. So I'll zoom into the nebula, and this is going to zoom into a high resolution image. Now I'm going to pull back from that location. So I double clicked on that image in the bottom. That basically shows me anything in the field of view that I'm looking at, and when I double clicking, it actually zooms to it directly. And now I'm pulling back to see kind of the scale of what you would see in the night sky with your eyes looking at constellations. I can turn on and off the constellation lines, by the way, by clicking these buttons over the left if I want to keep the sky as it would be. I'll kind of put the constellation lines back again for context. So if I want the beginning position of the slide to be kind of this large-scale view of the nebula, I will click Add New Slide. And what that does is it creates a slide. It actually is taking a snapshot of the viewport and making it the thumbnail. This is mostly black, so that you can't actually tell that so much in the thumbnail. It also creates a slide with a default duration of 10 seconds, which is every slide is created with that. I can change it. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom in to the nebula. because I've double-clicked that slide in the bottom, I have a slider here that I can actually play. I can make it more or less opaque on top of the background. For now, I'm going to leave it on completely. As I zoom into it, and the speed at which this resolves will depend upon how fast you are connected to an external network, as well as if you've looked at this object before, it will already have the data and it'll show it very rapidly. If you haven't had it, it will take longer to build up. So I'm going to get the view that I like. I'm going to actually do a little rotation on the way in, maybe. If I hold the control key down and move my mouse left and right, I can get a rotation. And now I'm going to right click on this slide and say set in camera position. Now if I want to just see what this is a single slide kind of tour, I can actually push play right now, and this will zoom in and rotate my view as I zoom into this high resolution image from the Hubble Space Telescope view of this beautiful nebula. And so if that's kind of what I want for the first, it'll take me 10 seconds to get there. That's the beginning of the tour. And then let's say I want to make a few more slides. Let's say I want to keep on zooming in. There's a lot of beautiful detail here. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back to this to the slide before, and I'm going to click on this little on the top and bottom, on the left and right at the top of each slide. There's a little kind of a ear that pokes up, a little triangle. If I click on the right-hand one, it takes me to the end slide position, and the left-hand one takes me to the beginning. I can also right-click and say Show Start Camera Position, or right-click and say Show In Camera Position. But I'm going to start, and for the second slide, I'm going to click on Show New Slide, which will make a slide with the begin camera position of this slide, which was the in camera position of the last one, because that's the way I had my camera set up. And here you see the thumbnail that's captured has a lot more detail, a lot more color, and it represents the nebula zoomed in this location. Another thing I like doing is I like turning on slide numbering. If I click under guided tours and say show slide numbers, it'll give me a number 0 and 1. And if I have more slides, it'll have sequential numbers after that, so I can keep track of which slides are visual. That's especially important where a lot of the slides have dark backgrounds. I can't really tell which one is which. So that is the begin camera position. Now I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to make that the in camera position. So I'm going to right click and say set in camera position. Now I'm going to actually change the duration of the slide. The slide, again, I mentioned earlier, was the default duration was 10 seconds. I'm going to make it now 5 seconds, so that zoom in, or actually I'll make it 3 seconds. The zoom in is, I can also go in and edit it myself. I can say it's 2.5 seconds. And so, or I'll make it 3 seconds, let's say 3 seconds. Now when I push play, it's going to zoom in to the first slide, and then once it gets to the end of the first slide, it will transition to the second slide that will take 3 seconds to do this zoom in. And actually that was pretty smooth because the rate of zooming was less, but I'm zooming a smaller fraction, so it actually turned out pretty well. So if I want to make a third slide, I'll click on Add New Slide. It'll take this position as the default beginning position. And now let's say what I want to do is move the image around a little bit. So if I want to move, let's say to another place and say set in camera position. One thing I can do is now, if I wanted to watch this short move that I added, normally I could push play and it would take me 10 seconds to go through the first slide, 3 seconds to go through the second slide, and then take me to the beginning of the third slide. Or I can click on the third slide and say preview tour from here. Actually, or no, I guess that hit that from the first slide again. We'll need to make sure that gets fixed. So it's going through the first slide, going through this 3-second transition into more zoom, and now it's taking 10 seconds to travel across the area. And so that's the end. Now, again, let's say I look at that and say that last 10 seconds was taking too long. I can reduce the time to be something shorter to kind of for the storytelling purposes. So now I have a very simple 3-slide tour. Now let's say I want to give some overlay information about it. I can label the nebula. I can point at things. So let's say first I want to have a slide title. Let's say at the very beginning, I want to have a slide that is a title slide. So I can add some text. Over here on the right hand side, this controls the overlays. And the type of overlays that we have are a text object, which allows me to kind of annotate with text. I can put shapes, and I can also upload pictures. And then I can also put music or voiceovers, narration tracks to the slides. So I'll show you how to do all that. So let's say we want to make a title slide, and I'll just first make a slide called maybe the same as the tour title. My first tour made in the web client. Okay. I can change the size of the font. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, make it maybe 40 points. I push save, and so I have this nice title of text. And now when I push when I make the tour, what happens is you'll see the tour will play, and it will play. This text will show on the slide when the first slide is showing, and then when the first slide stops showing, it will stop. When it gets to the end of the first slide, any overlays that are on that slide will go away, and then overlays that are on the other slide will show up. So and it looks like I'm having a problem with the client. I'm going to wait for a second, otherwise I'm going to have to restart it and kind of re-step through this process. It looks like we might have a problem with the viewer. I'm not sure what I did to go in so deep, but it could be that there's a problem with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reload the page. We'll go back to the page. I'll be able to easily kind of do this again, and it'll probably be good practice to do this a second time. Again, I'm going to step through making a 3-slide tour. Let me zoom over to the part. Again, as I move around my view, I'm seeing objects that are in the view displayed in the what we call the context menu, panel, which shows me the images that were within the context of the viewport that I'm looking. And then anything that has a little image on the right hand side is upper right hand side is the means there's an image there, and it'll give me an image of what I'm looking at. So I'm actually going to do this trick again where I double click. It'll zoom me into that location. This is a supernova remnant, and then I'm going to again, I can crossfade between it to show what the difference is in different optical wavelengths. So this is a multi-band wavelength image that you're seeing high resolution, and that looks obviously much different than the optical background that you're seeing at low resolution. So I'm going to set up my slide tour again. Again, create a new tour. I'm going to call this my first tour. I'm going to say Supernova. I'll leave the rest of them blank for now. I'll do that later. I'll zoom out to the large scale to have the starting position. I'll say add new slide. I'll right click and say set end camera position, or I'll actually zoom in to that high resolution image. Right click and say set end camera position, and then I'll click on add new slide. This will again automatically take this as the beginning position of the new slide I created. Also, you can see the thumbnail is a little bit more colorful because I'm zoomed in more. And let's say I'm going to zoom in, kind of center it a little bit, and then I'll say set end camera position. So now I'm going to reduce the time because I don't want this zoom in to take quite so long. And actually, I'll reduce the time of this too. I'll also make this 8 seconds. I'll make the other one 2 seconds. The whole process will take 10 seconds. So, all right. So I'm zooming in for the first slide. The second slide will have a slight pan to the right to kind of fill the field of view. So now I have a 2-slide tour. I'm going to do a couple other things. I'm going to add a slide. I'm going to add music and narration to the slide. But before I do that, I'm going to actually let me put some text onto this slide and some shapes. So I'm going to add a shape with an arrow. Actually, let me make sure I'm on the right slide. Some add shape arrow. It default puts in the center. I'm going to just kind of make this a little smaller, grab that handle, squeeze it up. I can move the this rotation button on top and rotate it. I can move it. I can change the color into yellow. And let's say I want to have text. I want to label it. I'll say Supernova. I'm going to change the text color to be yellow. I'll save that, and I'll put that over here. So now I've labeled this slide with some labels. Now, if I do this trick again, where I will play the tour, it's going to zoom in on that slide. And again, those labels aren't shown at the beginning, but they will pop in at the end when I'm playing the tour. So now I have this, and I can if I double click on the slide, I can see the those labels. Now the labels were where I put them at the beginning, but as you noticed at the beginning and end of the slide, they are in different positions. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the in position, show in camera position, which is now actually, I think I'm going to show start camera position. Let me show my in camera position here and set start camera position here. So now what I was going to do was I'm going to animate these objects. So that means I can choose the begin and in camera positions and actually give the objects different locations. So I'm going to say animate. This text or this arrow, I'm also going to animate that text. And now what I'm going to do is I have two different locations. I have them in two different positions. So I'm going to move them around. Oh, I need to grab the... Again, I'll click on the... I'm going to grab the this arrow. Let me grab that text. Now I made them I clicked on animate on each of them so that they have an animatable property, which means they can have a different beginning and end position, and then those will be interpolated in between them. So I'm going to now that I'm here, I'm going to say set in camera position, and now I'm going to show start camera position. And that might have done the right thing. So let me push play and see what. I think I must have set the. I think by mistake I set the start camera position of the first slide to be zoomed in. So I'm going to pull that back and reset the start camera position. So now I push play. It'll zoom in. It will. Add one location, and you saw that those texts tracked the object as I moved it. So we have just a few minutes left. Again, I apologize for the technical details at the beginning, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a soundtrack to it. So I'm going to browse for some music. I actually already put some music in. I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to add. I'm also going to add a voiceover track, which I previously did. This just has some words that I did before. It doesn't really match to the visuals, but it'll just illustrate how to do that. But they have to be in MP3 formats. We use a program called Audacity. There's some links online under the tutorials on adding audio, which tells you how to edit audio with free tools. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this slide, the first slide, a master slide. When I do that, when I right click and say add and make master slide, that little checkbox appears, and now there's an M here by the slide title. So that means that what a master slide indicates is that any overlay objects or audio files that are associated with the master slide will persist until a new master slide is identified, and that allows for some objects to be on screen to persist over multiple slides. If you wanted a watermark for your planetarium, or if you wanted to have some credits in your tour, or if you wanted a label or a caption to be persistent, you can do it that way. Or audio, that you made one audio track that went over multiple slides. So now when I play, this is a draft audio to show how to do a narration. I'll be re-recording. I'm not sure if you're hearing this, but I'm hearing soon a soundtrack that I added to it. So that's how you add that. Now I'm just going to go through a really quick thing with the last minute or so. When I hit save here, it's going to save this to a file. The name of the under tour property is called Supernova, and now I have the Supernova file. If I click X, that gets rid of the tour, and now I can open that file. So I can say under Explore, Open Tour. I can say choose local file, and now I have this file called Supernova. WTT is the default extension. So now I have the file that I've audio created, and I can actually share this with my friends. I can email this to somebody, and later on we'll have tutorials, or you can look at it now on how to use our communities feature to do other things. So this is our event. We're now at the half hour. I apologize again for the technical problems, and we will be looking forward to other events in the future. Thank you very much for participating, and we'll see you later.